Hello, race fans, and welcome once again to another high-octane episode of Trackside, proudly presented by Document Technologies. Document Technologies provides a comprehensive range of managed solutions, including multifunction devices, managed print services, and document management software. They're also known for their fast service, boasting an average response time of 2 hours or less, and offer high-quality product multifunction devices alongside document management and cloud hosting software. Stay tuned, racing enthusiasts, because the action starts right now, right here on Trackside.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am very excited to be here on a Friday, a very special Friday. I'm Terry Turner. Right there is Randy Dye. And Randy, we were just talking just a second off the air. We try not to get political or any of those things on this program, although sometimes I slip and fall. But I would say he is risen. And what a wonderful Friday it is. Happy Easter to everybody. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. He is risen, and happy Easter, everybody. As I said, this is one of my favorites because you're really more focused on what it's all about, right? It just makes you take assessment, of what's going on. You gotta know where you come from, know where your source is, and this certainly helps refocus that for sure.
Well, Mr. Mark maybe will have a little surprise for us in a second. He said he has a shovel. I see dirt flying from behind the console, so he's digging for this surprise. But we will wait and see if he comes up with it. I'm watching my screen. Oh, Randy, he says he thinks he have it. Would you like a little surprise today, Randy? Kind of take us back in time and remind me that I'm sort of elderly, but I love old stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right, Mr. Mark. Mr. Mark is a genius, ladies and gentlemen. Just in case you didn't know, he produces our program and puts up with us, which is a little challenging, especially having to deal with Randy. Here you go. Let's have it, Mr. Mark.
Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight for all your blessings. You said in all things give thanks. So we want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. And most of all, we thank you for Roush and Yates partnering to give us the power that we see before us tonight. Thank you for GM Performance Technology and the R07 engines. Thank you for Sunoco Racing Fuel and Goodyear tires that bring performance and power to the track. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. My two children, Eli and Emma, or as we like to call them, the little E's. Lord, I pray you bless the drivers and use them tonight. May they put on a performance worthy of this great track. In Jesus' name, boogity, 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 amen.
That takes us back in time, but it's still good, isn't it, Randy?
Oh my gosh, it is. I think I've shared with you, a different story that I had way back in the '90s, and but I don't know that there's any better on this planet than that. That was hysterical, and I think we both know humor is a good thing, and I got to believe that if there was a way for the good Lord to be up there shaking his head, man, he just had to be doing it, right?
Yeah. Well, I think shaking his head and scratching his head at the same time, trying to figure, did I make this guy? I still love that. It's been a while. Mark could probably tell us how many years it's been since we played it, but it's really good stuff. So thank you again, Mr. Mark. We appreciate you. 2011, he says, was when we played that for the first time.
Wow.
Or maybe not. No. That was the last time we played it. Wow. Time goes by quite fast, Randy.
Wow, it's been that's. But you'll never forget that. That's one of those, right? That will live on, as they say, in infamy.
Well, it kind of says it all. It says a lot about the racetrack, racing, the sport, the people, God, country, all of it kind of rolled into one, and it sure is fun. Randy, speaking of rolled into one, I'm looking at a really fantastic picture that you sent me this today from the Daytona International Speedway, a unbelievable event that took place earlier today, and I would like for you to tell us about it because we talk a lot about Race to Stop Suicide and the 988 number, which is nationwide, but this was second year for something incredible that you guys put together. Talk to us about this one, would you?
Yeah, I just would say to you that, and I think every once in a while, you'll talk about how the media are naysayers about NASCAR and, how it's just not a viable entity and all that stuff that they love to talk about. The reality is it's just not true. You've been around with us since the beginning of what was Race to Stop Suicide and what we thought was going to be a very small, or at least a community effort here in Volusia and Flagler County and maybe a little bit other connecting counties. But the fact of the matter is, it's right. It is a community effort. But it's a community effort in every community across this country. And it's that community effort across this country that's been made possible by the use of the NASCAR platform. NASCAR reaches millions of people every weekend. And when you think about the number of people who actually take their own lives, over 50,000 a year in this country, just in this country, it's a massive effort to try to figure out how to try to make a difference and to stop that and to get a message to people that, hey, you matter, you care, we care. This, no matter what your circumstance, it's not worth not being here. And so we could not do that. The bottom line is we could not do that without NASCAR. And NASCAR with the Daytona International Speedway, along with Jeep Beach, we put together a year ago a thing called March to Stop Suicide. And we go and we march around the racetrack, not on the outside of the racetrack, on the racetrack, the Daytona International Speedway, for 98 minutes and 8 seconds. And the 98 minutes and 8 seconds is to call attention to 988, the mental health crisis hotline that was established by Congress in July of 2022, July 16th of 2022. So today was that day, and we had about 2.5 times the number of people we had for the inaugural event. We partner with a group from a group of Navy SEALs called Beyond the Brotherhood, whose organization helps Navy SEALs transition from SEAL life to civilian life. They struggle. They have a hard time. And unfortunately, there's a high suicide rate. So we work hard, and what the photograph that you're referring to is we were able to take a large number of the people who came today and form a human 988 right at the start-finish line of the Daytona International Speedway. So I'd say, when you think about, at least in the racing community, there's no more iconic speedway than Daytona, and 988 at the start-finish line of Daytona. People are going to, if you don't know what 988 is, you will know before the day is out, because you'll look and you'll find out. And what we ask people to do is make sure that you tell people about 988. That's very important. So that's that last resource, that emergency, that gap between a bad mistake and fixing it. So that's what we did. It's just one piece of what we did. There's more to come. We've got another event on April 22nd. Our community came together and helping raise a lot of money so we can spread that around and make a difference in communities everywhere in the country, honestly.
Well, Randy experienced this today along with Bill Gallagher, and I hate to keep bringing this up, but just looking at the time that's passed and the achievement of everything that's going on with Race to Stop Suicide and 988, this is a little different than the snub we got in the very early days of this project, isn't it?
Well, I think what's interesting is that day that taught us that we had a big uphill battle, right? We knew we had an uphill battle to be able to get, to be able to even talk to people about it was going to be a challenge, and we, we've struggled to do that sometimes, and other times the arms have been wide open, and this has been the Daytona International Speedway, Jeep Beach, our community has rallied around us. We get to speak to a lot of different places. I spoke in Orlando to a large number of iron workers. We've done a construction conference up in Nashville. We go, wherever we go, we pretty much go where we're asked to go. And then we use the NASCAR platform to, at least this year, I think it's 13 races. I'm sorry, it's 11 races. I apologize. 11 races that you'll see an in-car camera race to stop suicide, and that creates that awareness, that keeps that message out there, I always say there's a couple things that happened that caused me. I understand why that lady that day was reluctant to hear us, because frankly, I was that person too. I wasn't that person who wanted to be a part of this. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. This wasn't. If it wasn't for Daniel Dye, this wouldn't have happened. And he's the one who said, "Dad, first off, I've already talked two of my friends out of taking their own lives." That was at 14 years old. And the next thing he said was, "No one ever cares until it happens." That just sort of summed it up.
Yep.
And then you take it one step further. Not long after that, I met with a gentleman who you can look up, and I encourage you to look up because he's incredible. He's worth the time and energy. His name is Kevin Hines. Kevin Hines, at 19 years old, decided that life was over, and he went to the top of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. And I'm not talking about where the cars drive over. I'm talking about the structure. And jumped into the San Francisco Bay, presumably to his death. And he survived. He says, he's told me, I sat and had breakfast with he and his wife, it completely, it shattered his legs, and yet he was able to get back up to the top of the water, and he said, and he was in unbelievable pain, but he knew, his story is this: the moment he let go, he said that he knew he had made a mistake. So, if you let me finish the story, and then I'll come back to that comment. He said he was circled by a very dark creature in the San Francisco Bay. If you've been out there, you know what that is. That's a shark, right?
Yes, lots of them. Yep.
And he couldn't believe that he survived jumping into the San Francisco Bay only to be eaten by a shark. It was not a shark. It was a sea lion. And the sea lion put him on his back and took him to one of the embankments on the bridge until someone could come and get him. The bottom line is what he said is what impacted me. And that is, as soon as I let go, I knew I had made a mistake. And what we've got to do is get that message to people who are contemplating this, because not many get a second chance. Not many get a mulligan. Not many get a do-over. And I personally believe, just like Kevin Hines, I believe the majority, if they had a do-over, would stay. And they they would get through what they're dealing with. So when we talk about Race to Stop Suicide, Terry, it is a race. We're all in a race. It's not about driving a race car. It's about being in a situation where we've got to be able to communicate with people who are struggling to keep them from making that terrible decision. And thank you for allowing me to talk about it.
Oh man, it's a pleasure, and I must say you have the privilege of being at all the races. I'm not able to attend all the races, but seeing an Xfinity race car with Daniel Dye. I remember when he was 14. I remember when he was 6, but I remember his little voice at that meeting. We were trying to get things started, and to see him now behind the wheel of an Xfinity race car with Race to Stop Suicide camera and logos on the car on national television, it's hard to describe the feeling that you get when you see that, Randy. I mean, even still, I said, well, I'm used to seeing it, but to see it on national TV and everything that's come from it is a big deal. And long and short of it, you've described it well, but lives have been saved as a result.
They have, and they have been saved, and it's a blessing to get the emails that we get, and the stories, and now the return emails. I mean, these are, what I'm saying is people come back again and again and leave a note, and it's that is a blessing. It's a blessing, and we're fortunate to be able to use the platform. You can make something be whatever you say you're going to make it be, and I just would say that to those naysayers about NASCAR and its health, I'm going to tell you, we got a cause that's going on, and that cause is happening because of the NASCAR platform. We're working hard. Don't misunderstand me. We got a lot of people that deserve a lot of credit, but without the NASCAR platform, it would not be as significant as it is today.
Well, and as we've just said, and as a result of the prayer that you just heard, NASCAR is not only about racing. It's about a lot of different things. There's no doubt about that. Randy, it brings me to a quick side note before we go to local. We were talking to Daniel last week, and, I asked him, he's got this new program, YouTube program, along with Connor Zillich and Jesse Love. Shake and Bake Sports to produce it on YouTube. First program aired last week, airs on Mondays. And I asked Daniel, about maybe, hey, could I get an autograph? And then I see the line of people lined up for 2 hours getting the number 5 super race car driver's autograph with Kyle Larson. And I'm wondering, have you asked Daniel for an autograph, and what was his response?
Well, I have, to be honest, I guess I've never asked for his autograph for me. I have asked for his autograph to send to other people and to autograph die-casts for people and things like that. But I guess I've never asked for his autograph for me, to your point. So, yeah, how about that?
Well, he's going to give me an autograph. You can tell him next time you talk to him. We're going to be talking to him here pretty soon. He's going to talk to us about the show in the next couple of weeks. But just tell him he's not too big for me to still sling over my knee.
Amen. So. That's good. That's good.
No doubt about that. Anyway, good stuff, and we are going to hear from Mr. Daniel Dye in a couple of weeks about the experience with Connor Zillich and Jesse Love on that program. One more quick thing before we go to local, and I like this one. Talladega Speedway announced today that NASCAR Hall of Famer Bobby Allison will be honored during a special parade lap as part of a pre-race ceremonies for the NASCAR Cup Series in the Jack Links 500. Allison's famed 1969 Mercury Cyclone will be driven around the track by his grandson, Robbie Allison, following the national anthem. That's next week when the Cup guys come back on at Talladega. I wanted to put that in the beginning of the show. You and I had the honor of sitting down with Bobby Allison in our program at the racetrack a while back, and now he's gone. But, hey, the the Mercury Cyclone, which I know you're familiar with, will be on the racetrack next weekend at Talladega. Pretty cool stuff, Randy.
It is cool. I remember when we lost Davey Allison and the helicopter crash, and when Donnie drove the 28 around the Talladega International Speedway. Kind of sounds very similar to what they're going to do with Bobby. I think it's interesting the time that you and I spent with Bobby Allison, and by the way, I don't know that you know this, but Daniel got to be pretty good friends and pretty close with Bobby Allison.
I did not. He
would come and visit here, and Daniel was really his more or less his driver. He would pick him up and take him places, and go to dinner with him when Bobby wanted to go to dinner, and then take him back to the airport or so. That was, and by the way, that was a privilege, but that privilege was made possible by Jimmy Kitchens, who is also a member of the Alabama gang, and he wanted Daniel to benefit from being around a legend. And so he put them together, and they became really very, very close to one another. And so it's a special thing for me. I mean, I rooted. Bobby Allison was, I got to be honest, I always rooted for Richard Petty, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. But then when something happened and Richard wasn't competitive, or something happened to the car, or whatever the case might be, Bobby Allison was always right there. But I think, and this is one of those days, we're going down memory lane, you and I, Terry. Bobby Allison and Buddy Baker and Dale Yarborough and David Pearson and Richard Petty, and a little bit later, Dale Earnhardt Sr. and I mean, even when A.J. Foyt came over and ran, it was the generations. There's that generation that Bobby Allison, when he was in his prime, gosh, it was something else. It was incredible, the people that raced, and that the number of Hall of Famers and what they meant to the sport and what they meant to people, their fans. There was a connection between those guys and their fans, maybe unlike any. I would hope that I wouldn't say that would ever happen again, because it was so very special. I would hope to see it again. But Bobby Allison, man, he was a fireball for the longest time, and then he and the Pettys. Actually, the Petty family and the Allison family, that wasn't they didn't do breakfast together very well. But when Adam's accident came, the Allisons were there, and when Bobby had his accident, the Pettys were there. And so it's just incredible. And so, anytime you get the opportunity to honor that caliber of person, it's worth spending your time if you can go. That's for sure.
We were quite privileged that we've got a chance to interview a lot of the Hall of Famers, and I'll never forget that one. Bobby Allison, the Wood brothers, they all treated us like they'd known us for years, and easy guys to talk to. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are rolling right through the program, so I guess we better get to the local section of the Trackside program.
One Daytona, located across from the world's center of racing, is proud to present our local segment, where we talk with a local star in your part of the country following a big win, event preview, and much more. One Daytona in Daytona Beach is a vibrant destination offering an array of shopping, dining, and entertainment options, including unique events and live music suitable for families and individuals alike.
Hey, race fans, let's take a little break and celebrate with our families. All of our local tracks are down this weekend in honor of the Easter weekend at Volusia Speedway Park. They are back next weekend on April the 26th with Dirt Car UMP Modified, 604 late models, 602 late models, factory stocks, and 3/4 modifieds. That will be a thrill for the fans on the Saturday night special next weekend. At New Smyrna Speedway next Saturday night, the April Family Fun Night, $5 general admission. Wow, what a deal. You'll be seeing E-Mod, Superstocks, Blackjack, Seal Coating Bomber A's, Bomber B's, Florida Southern Ground Pounders, and spectator races. At Five Flag Speedway next Friday night, the 25th, Crown Stock Non-Winners Race, Outlaws, Pro Late Models, Crown Stocks, and Pro Trucks. In NASCAR last weekend, great racing at Bristol with Chandler Smith winning the truck race. Kyle Larson wins the Xfinity race and the Cup race. If it wasn't for a late race caution, he could have got all three. Tonight at Rockingham, the trucks are underway as we speak. The Xfinity race at Rockingham tomorrow at 4 p.m. That's on CW. Cup guys will be back next Sunday at 3 p.m. on Fox, and that's at Talladega. Well, Randy, just as I said in that report, Chandler Smith, I think he got Kyle by 0.934 seconds. Definitely caution, maybe played into it or not. That's his second win and his sixth win overall in the Truck Series, and he got $50,000 as part of the Truck Challenge on that. So exciting stuff, and Kyle Larson continues to prove what a driver he is, and great to see Chandler Smith win. Yeah,
Chandler's he's a good race car driver for sure. There's a lot of this whole debate about Cup guys racing lower series is getting heated up again, and a lot of the fans are not as thrilled by it as what you might think. I think there's I don't know. My attitude is a little bit more like, hey, look, if they go and compete and you can beat them, you're making a pretty big statement. So I'm not as passionate about this one way or the other, but I don't think it's the most popular thing going right now.
Well, you may have a point right there. There's no doubt about that. I don't know for sure how I lean. Sometimes I wish they wouldn't let them drive. Sometimes I'm glad. Sometimes I think it's a great experience. But anyway, when it comes down to the wire and a regular driver like Chandler Smith gets in there and beats Kyle Larson, it's seemed like the fans enjoyed that. So I don't know, Randy, there's a lot that you and I can do about it. Do you?
No, nothing you can do about it. I know when Daniel was racing super late models, when some of the guys from the Cup Series would come, and especially when they go to Pensacola to race the Snowball Derby, and he would beat some of those guys. I thought that's cool. That was really cool. So I don't know, but I can tell you there's more negative conversation about it today than there was a few years ago.
Yes. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. So, bottom line, it just depends. There's no doubt about it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, before we take a break, let's get into the truck section of Trackside.
The Tough Trucks of NASCAR are next up on the agenda, presented by Aaron Delgado and Associates. With over 110 combined years of experience in criminal defense and personal injury, Aaron Delgado and Associates takes pride in vigorously representing clients in various challenging legal situations within the community. Now, let's go trucking.
Randy, I almost had Mr. Mark play you remember the old Twilight theme music, right?
I do, yeah.
Well, so let me read it from my press release. A cryptic Instagram post from NASCAR Rumor Nostalgia hinted that GMS Racing could be coming back with Spencer Gallagher, that's Maury's son, behind the scenes and bring Dodge back to truck racing in 2026. Now, I will give you this note. Neither GMS nor Dodge has confirmed these rumors. Now, in case you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, Randy Dye is a Dodge dealer and a fan of the manufacturer. So, Randy, you have any comment on this except to say BS or no?
Well, I would say to you that that's probably one of about 100 that I've heard. I've said this the last time we talked about this. I'm very excited about the prospects of this happening, of Dodge being in the sport again. I think it makes sense. I think our customers would like to see Dodge back in the sport again. But I also know, and to use the term behind the scenes, I've been behind those scenes for more than one occasion when we've been extraordinarily close, when it was ready to go. And then something at the last minute would go a different direction. I can tell you that this much, that there's been no discussion about who, or for that matter, the when, because they have to still work out. You don't just go call NASCAR and say, hey boys, we'll see you next week. We're going to come race. They've got a process and a protocol, and it takes time to get through all of that. So, do I believe they're closer than they were before? Yeah, because they've been there. They were so close before, and what happened was just unfortunate that it didn't get done. So, but there's a lot of work, and no, I don't believe that. I could certainly believe that GMS Racing could come back to the Truck Series. I know Maury liked the Truck Series. I know Mike Beam liked the Truck Series. So to see them come back to the Truck Series, I think that's entirely possible. To connect Dodge to that at this stage of the game, that's way premature.
Well, yep, I can understand, and obviously I agree with you. Obviously, both of us would be excited. And before we run to the break right quick, if it does happen, and then they're saying, eventually come back to Cup, et cetera, that should be reflected in a positive way in the dealership floor at your place, right?
Oh yeah, I mean our group is a very passionate group about what we do. So and I think that sort of exemplifies the Dodge and the Ram brand, very passionate, the Jeep brand in a different way. But I think it'll be a welcome thing for our. It gives us a team to root for. Can you imagine? I'm going to mess this up for a lot of people, but can you imagine there not being the Steelers in Pittsburgh? That makes about as much sense as Dodge not being in racing.
Well, I would say when it happens, I'm going to need some kind of a discount or trade on furniture. That's all I can say about that. No doubt. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with Xfinity. And, we've got lots more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Trackside.
Introducing the all-new tractor and outdoor power equipment section at DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors. Now you can gear up for your outdoor projects with premium brands like Bobcat, Massey Ferguson, Shindaiwa, Echo, and more. Need a powerful lawnmower for that perfectly manicured lawn? They've got it. How about a rugged tractor to tackle those big projects? DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors has you covered. And let's not forget the Lawn and Garden Center with everything from weed whackers to chainsaws. Commercial or residential, DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors has the goods to keep you moving. So why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary? Visit DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors today at their new location and explore the thrilling world of outdoor power equipment. DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors, where the thrill of the ride meets the power of the great outdoors. Your journey begins here.
Welcome back to Trackside as we now take a look under the hood in the NASCAR Xfinity Series presented by Daytona's Garage. Daytona's Garage offers more than just standard dealership customization. They provide a comprehensive range of services for personalizing and enhancing cars, Jeeps, and trucks of any make and model, focusing on both aesthetics and performance with affordability. Reliable service. Now, back to Terry and Randy.
All right, Randy, how about this good news? For the first 9 Xfinity Series races of 2025, they have averaged over 1 million viewers. Last week's race, over 1 million. First time since 2017, before this year, they were hitting 1 million. They've done it and with a 25% increase since 2017. So, first 9 races, over 1 million viewers each week. I think CW, the way they do the broadcast is certainly helpful. But that's really good news for the sports, for Race to Stop Suicide, for Xfinity. Period. Good news right there.
No question. I mean, I think we had that top executive from CW with us. I think we were out in Texas when we were had him on, and you could hear the philosophy, the way they were going to do things, and there was a distinct plan. If you take that and you add the consistency of where the fans can find the race, then that leads to this. That makes this. I think you put the professionalism, the enthusiasm, the way they're doing the races, and then the consistency and where you can find it. This makes sense. And I mean, even though I would say a 25% increase is a big number.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. A big number. And I don't care what sport you're talking about. That's a big number. But again, CW promotes it well, and they do a great job for sure. I'd love to hear what Daniel's thoughts are. As we know, we are in Rockingham. Truck guys are finishing up as we speak. We'll get you the results probably next show now. But tomorrow, as we said, Xfinity guys on Rockingham. That a different ballgame. I heard Jamie McMurray talking about that. He won, I think he won 4 races at the old Speedway. It's been repaved in late 2022 and remeasured at 0.94 miles. So it's unfamiliar. The Xfinity guys have not been there since 2004. Wow, what do you think? You got any call? Any thoughts?
Well, I think it's a cool place. For me, that's the first place I ever took an actual race instruction, and I did it with Buddy Baker. And so I love it. I can tell you that being in the local community up there near Pinehurst for the last couple of weeks, back and forth, they are fired up about having Rockingham back on the schedule. The people in that area are really, really, really excited, and hence sold out. So, I love it. I think it's a great racetrack. We'll see how it goes. I don't know if Daniel's going to love it or not. It's definitely different, but it's an exciting place. I watched some races there, and so it should be a good event. I hope it's a great event for the community.
All right, Mr. Mark, let's roll now as we are running out of time. Let's go ahead and get into the Cup section of the Trackside program.
UniFirst presents Conversation about the NASCAR Cup Series, the pinnacle. In auto racing, just like Cup, UniFirst is also the leader of the pack as the uniform and facility service experts. Let's go back to our hosts, Randy and Terry.
All right, we're going to kind of run fast real quick because we are running out of time. Speaking of running fast, Randy, here's Catherine Legg. Catherine Legg has now got everything in place for the Cup Series, and she's going to be running now in 7 races. Yeah, a big deal. We talked a little bit about last week, and she's got everything kind of squared away. Drop Light, Sheriff Companies, and Zunda Tequila are going to be the sponsors and be extending their sponsorship through the end of the year. The good news for her.
Well, I think this, again, like we said before, having some other series competition instead of just trying to go out there and think you can compete with the Cup Series. I mean, there's no question how hard it is to compete at that level, and so I think it's good that she's going to get some seat time in some of the lower series.
Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt. And again, like we've been saying, it's going to be great to have a female back in the sport. We talk, Randy, a lot about new sponsors coming on board, and it seems like they're every week there's a list of sponsors. Texas A&M is coming back. etc. But for Talladega, Kyle Busch has got a new sponsor, NicoKick, which is the leading U.S. platform and preferred digital retail partner for Zone Premium, and they produce nicotine patches, and they will be on the number 8 for Talladega. So I know that's April 27th. So another sponsor. Hey, I wouldn't mind sponsoring the number 8 if I were in business. He's still got a lot of eyes on him, and he ain't done yet. But again, these big companies, national companies, continue to have faith in NASCAR.
No doubt, and more of them come, and I think when you start going back to the numbers you just shared with regard to the Xfinity Series as an example, up 25%. I don't think it's hard to figure out why, right?
No, exactly right. Yeah. And we've mentioned several different races that have got new sponsors that are sponsor of the entire race, or the entire weekend, and so on and so forth, which costs lots of money. So a good one. We're going to end up here in just a second with here's Jesse Love, who's going to be driving for Beard Motorsports in the Cup races at Texas and Indianapolis. That'll be, let's see here, he'll be driving the number 62 and starting at Texas on May the 4th, and then back at the Brickyard on July 27th. So, hey, this is a young warrior driving with Daniel, friends with Daniel in Xfinity, that's getting quite a bit of Cup exposure. And, wow, I'd say he earned it, Randy.
He's done a great job. You know, he got to the Xfinity Series a year ahead of Daniel. Actually, he went from ARCA to Cup. ARCA to Xfinity, and skipped the whole truck thing. So probably in his case that was a good transition, and he's done a great job in the Xfinity Series. You know, I know that he had his opening Cup race last week at Bristol. I think he was concerned that there was going to be more of a tire wear race than maybe it ended up, and he saved probably a little too much. But at the end of the day, he did fine. You know, he brought the car home in one piece, and he ran a bunch of laps, and really wasn't in the way, and and he's a smart racer. He'll take away a lot from that experience.
Yeah, it's wonderful. We talk a lot about all these young warriors coming up in the sport. He's already got lots of fans, as of Daniel and all these young guys, and there's some really fantastic race car drivers coming up. We're going to end with this one. Some more good news. NASCAR Channel has announced that they're going to extend programming with Tubi. That's going to be coming up. They're going to start with the Morning Drive show, which will air Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. With Mike Bagley and Pete Pistone. And then this tomorrow, Flow Racing and NASCAR have got together, and they'll be airing the ARCA Menards Series East from Rockingham. That's going to be happening that coverage will start at 1 p.m. Eastern on Flow Racing, which covers lots of stuff. So it just gets better and better and better. And ladies and gentlemen, we are so proud to be able to bring you all this good news. We're so proud to say, spend some time with your family this Easter weekend. Please try to focus on what it's all about. And God willing, we'll see you next week right here on Trackside.
Happy Easter, everybody, and we'll see you at the racetrack.
And with the checkered flag waving, we're wrapping up this week's edition of Trackside. Fear not, race fans, because we'll be back next week, proudly presented by Document Technologies. Tune in for a fresh new episode packed with engaging interviews, captivating conversations, and all the exhilarating moments you've come to expect. Until then, keep the racing spirit alive, and we'll see you next time on Trackside.